Hello, is that Elizabeth?
It is.
Hi, it's Sean regarding
Oh,
the...
hello, Sean. I was born the 6th of the 8th, 41.
Who are your parents again?
It's William Leslie Bailey,
Right.
Sarah Beatrice Gill.
And...
But my parents weren't married. They never married. We never knew for years. Well, we were both, my sister and I were both married and had children before we found out my mother and father had never been married.
Right, what was the reason for that?
Because he'd been married, he was a Catholic and he'd been married before. He was married to Nora Coates, the 22nd of March, 1928.
So, the Queen Victoria Hotel. Is it Leslie Bailey?
Yeah.
He's male, and he's a hotel bar manager. Noah? Nora Bailey, female. She's born the 12th of March, and she's an unpaid domestic duties.
So she's been like a housewife.
So she's literally cleaning that.
He had a young family,
In Newcastle?
yes, in Gateshead. 39 when he got with my mother.
Yeah.
And in those days, and that's why they moved down to Coventry from Newcastle.
This woman came into the bar one day and he left everyone and moved down to Birmingham with her.
Bye-bye, with the love of life!
So on the 6th of August 1941 at 2 Troughton Crescent in Coventry, Elizabeth Helen's born. She's a girl. Her father is Leslie William Bailey and her mother is Sarah Beatrice Bailey, formerly Gill. Her father is a clerk at the Ministry of Supply for Armaments and he has signed the birth certificate for Liz. Did your parents just stay down in Coventry then the rest of their lives?
Yeah, well, until he died. He died in 1953, my father. But she went under by Bailey, and we went by Bailey.
Yeah, but she's acting like she's his wife, isn't she,
Oh,
really?
yes, she did, yes. Mother was born in 1911.
So who are Sarah's parents?
So my mum's parents are Robert H. Gill.
Yeah.
My grandma was Isabella. I didn't meet the granddad because when my granddad came down to see my mum after the second child was born, my granddad came back home and he said to the family, right, I want to draw a line under it. I want Sally to be part of the family. We've got, these children are from my daughter, and I wanted them to know the family. So we used to go up
Yeah.
nearly every year and have in the summer holidays.
Maybe it took your granddad to do that, to stop it all.
And that's when it was lovely because we didn't know anything.
What was his business?
Engineering.
All right.
Engineering.
Now again.
Right, so this is the 1911 census for the Gills.
We got Robert Gill, the head. He's 39, married. He's an engineer.
Something works.
Ordnance works.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Then we've got Isabel Gill, and she's a wife. She's married and...
How old is she?
Oh, she's 39.
Same
sorry,
age?
12. No, is that... What was it?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
complete
Yeah,
years of
12.
present marriage. 12. They've got 8 kids,
Oh,
6
God.
alive, 2 dead.
Aw, that's
Not
sad.
too bad though, is it?
Not for those times. no,
Right.
Well, not.
So we've got George Gill, the son is 11. He's a scholar.
And there's George, but I've got nothing at all on George, so I think he's been one of the uncles that didn't have anything to do with us at all.
Okay.
Then we've got George Gill, who's a son, who's 11. Oh,
You mean the
that's-
guy I've just read?
Oh, wait, I apologise. Graham, is it?
Arthur.
Oh, Arthur. Never mind. Why did I get Graham from that?
I could have got Graham from that as well.
And then there's Arthur, and I haven't got much on him either.
Arthur Gill, the son, who's 10. That was not very close together.
So Helen Gertrude,
Yeah.
Gertrude Gill, the daughter, she's 9. She's at school.
there's Joe,
Yeah.
Then we've got Joseph Gill, who is the son who's 6.
He's at school.
Then there's Hilda May.
You got Hilda Gill, who's a daughter who's 1, and she's obviously not at school.
My mum.
And then we've got Sarah Gill, who is under 1.
Yeah.
It just says under 1.
Under 1.
And then there's Isabella, the Jane Isabella. Belle didn't have any family.
Right.
Auntie Belle lived in Coventry. Well, she didn't live with us, but she lived in Coventry. So we saw Auntie Belle all the time.
Right. So she told you
So
a bit.
it was her, but she didn't tell me till after I'd had my family.
Yeah.
And if something happened, and she, but she didn't go into great detail about them. I suppose the thing is, it was such a shameful thing for my mum to run off
Yeah.
with a married man that had family. My mum lost her husband, and because those days a woman couldn't hold a licence, so we had lost our home, and my mother lost her income. She lost her husband and everything.
Oh, and then prunes are hedged. And the hedges are pruned.
It's a bit different. This is the 1939 register with the same family we've just been to. And now they've moved to here. 33 Druridge Drive behind you.
This is Gertrude, but,
Right.
but it's Helen Gertrude Gill.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then she was married to Edgar Dunn Henderson.
Helen Henderson.
No. Helen Henderson,
She was born 29th of September.
1901.
She's a woman, unpaid domestic, so basically she just helps work.
And you've got Robert Gill, who's 18th of March 1871, and he's a supervisor of tanks erections.
For the war.
Yeah.
And then we've got Sarah Gill, female, born 12th of January 1911. And she was a lady tracer. What's a lady tracer?
Find of women that are lost.
So she had to find some way, because she was a craftswoman,
All right.
she was able to do that freelance.
The tracers were responsible for transferring the original design drawings created by the draftsmen in the drawing room to the final production drawings that would be printed and sent to the manufacturing sites and subcontracted them.
So you're not smart enough to draw them yourself, trace them. Working from typically flat tables, unlike the angled drawing boards of the draftsman, the process involved tracing the ink in the original pencil drawing onto a heavily waxed linen sheet. Jane Gill, born the 12th of October 1913.
Yeah.
And she's a still roommate.
Just serving tea and things.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
that's
thinking
alright.
that.
Yeah.
And then she got a housekeeping job, so we got a house with a housekeeping job. Well, it was a bungalow, but it was big enough for us. I know my mum and dad were madly in love, because when he died, my mother was absolutely bereft.
Yeah.
She just went to pieces completely.
Oh,
I mean, she even had a nervous breakdown later on
God.
because of it all.
Yeah.
She was and probably that was also when we spoke to the doctor, was that she'd carried that living with, him leaving the family and living in sin. And maybe she thought she'd be punished, that he died to punish her. So people have different thoughts, don't they, when they do something that hurts other people.
Yeah.
You often think it's like karma. She did marry again, but only because she got this job. It was after I'd left school and I was training, so I was in digs, and she married this Norman Robinson. But just because people were talking about them, because she was housekeeper for him and his son.
So she married him.
No, they didn't live together as man and wife. I never got to ask her, because she never taught, she never, once I found out, I suppose it's up to them Mother was quite a strong, very private person, she was about that.
When did she pass away?
She passed away in 95.
All right, so she lived a while then, didn't she?
Oh yeah, she was 84.
Yeah. Did you know much about Robert and Isabella's side of the family?
No, I don't know anything about my great-grandparents at all.
It's good that your granddad kind of went, look, I want to see my grandchildren, I want to draw a line under it.
Yeah, he didn't want us to be excluded from, which was really, now when I think about that, that was quite a brave thing to do.
Yeah, it's quite modern thinking, isn't it?
But you see, he had his own business, my granddad.
Right.
So I think he was quite a balanced thinker.
Does it have the address where your dad was born on it?
Yes, I've got that.
Yeah.
He was born at 9 Greensfield, Greensfield Terrace.
9 Greensfield Terrace.
Behind you? Number 9?
I think that would be in Gateshead.
Yeah. I wonder what his parents thought of him leaving Nora.
I love my dad to death because I went everywhere with him. But in my eyes, it's still, to leave a young family,
It's still shocking, yeah.
I don't agree with it. My grandparents' names, yes, I've got them. He was William Bailey. So he was a railway stoker, what they call a railway stoker.
Who, your grandfather?
Yes.
Right.
And she was Elizabeth Bailey. But she was also late Shipley, formerly Douglas. So she'd been married
Before.
once before.
So you're named after that Elizabeth then, aren't you?
Yeah, and I didn't know that once I got his birth certificate because her name's on it.
We're going to go into Elizabeth's side to see what's going on here with these names, okay? So we're going to go and do her father. So obviously Douglas is her maiden name?
Yeah.
Right, so this is her father's death certificate. Christmas Day?
Oh.
He died at the infirmary,
Well,
yeah?
at least he didn't die on the road.
Injury.
Injury to the leg at Forth Good Station. Sepsis.
Elizabeth Douglas was about 6 or 7 when her father died on Christmas Day 1875, so she went to live with his side of the family.
Elizabeth Douglas, granddaughter, 14 scholar.
And then we've got Luther. No.
Matthew. And he's a scholar too.
Hello,
Hello, is that Sue?
it is.
Hi, it's Sean from Ancestry.
Hello, Sean, how are you doing?
But I take it Elizabeth's brother was your great-granddad, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Matthew Douglas was my grandmother's father.
Right.
Isabella's my grandmother.
1993, your grandma passed, didn't she? That's good age.
Yeah.
Um,
She was very close to the younger children, so she was close to Kenneth and Jessie. They were the closest, and Lancelot unfortunately died quite early.
yeah.
Lancelot, Kenneth, neither of those ever married, and Gladys and Eliza were talked about, but I never met them. And John, I never met him either.
Yeah.
Matthew disappears at some point, and because he disappeared,
Yeah.
my dad was told that he was dead, so he didn't know his
Granddad.
his granddad. So it wasn't until he actually died that my dad knew that his grandfather had been alive all of this time.
So no one knows why he left?
No one knows why he left.
I bet they all wondered why Dad left.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah.
Died in the First World War, because one of them went to war and he was missing and nobody knew where he was. and the other son went to war to go and find him and falsified his age.
To go and get him.
Yeah.
Right.
And, they died many miles apart.
Right.
And I know that was a very traumatic event. You know, it was something that was talked about
Yeah.
regularly in the family. During my childhood as well.
Yeah.
I wondered, if someone was being blamed for them going to war and dying.
So Matthew Douglas, just like his nephew, William Leslie Bailey, both left their families. So going back to the census, we see that Elizabeth and Matthew are living with their grandmother, Elizabeth Douglas, at Greensfield Terrace.
Elizabeth Douglas, head for widow, 64, no job. What?
Ridley.
Yeah.
Ridley, the son. He's 32, and he's a guard on the railway.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's a railway guard.
He's unmarried though. 32, come on, man.
Peter Douglas, the son, he's married, he's 30, and he's also a guard on the railway. He's a stalker on the railway.
Matthew, the son, who was unmarried, he was 24.
And he's also a stalker on the railway. Joe, I love this. It's a railway family. I'm probably into this.
Like the railway children.
A transcript of next door for you.
Enoch. So you got Enoch Shipley, the head, married, male. He's 36. He's an engine driver.
Martha Shipley, who was his wife, she was 34.
Then you got Matthew W. Shipley, the son, single, he's male. He's 14. Guess what he is? An errand boy.
Got Elizabeth, who's 14 here,
Yeah.
and we've got the Shipleys next door, who's here.
Yeah.
So which one's the same age as Elizabeth?
Matthew.
So they're growing up together. What do you think happens? So this explains Elizabeth's first married name of Shipley when she married her childhood sweetheart and her neighbour, Matthew William Shipley, in 1891 in Gateshead. This happened to Matthew.
Oh, Christ.
You've killed?
Engine man killed in Colton Tunnel. Matthew Shipley, a fireman, employed by the North Eastern Railway Company, that good company, was killed in the Colton Tunnel shortly after 9 o'clock. Instant night. Shipley came to Edinburgh yesterday morning with an excursion train. At the time of the occurrence, he was walking on the line on his way to St Margaret's for the purpose of rejoining his engine.
When he was accidentally run down by a local train, Shipley was about 30 years old. To be fair, there's no stupid
Yeah,
fault.
well, honestly,
why would you walk on a bloody railway line?
I know this from having my PTS. Why the hell are you walking on an open line? Yeah.
Health and safety back then, clearly not as...
Exactly. No one just something work.
Yeah, but I mean, common sense.
So Elizabeth Shipley, now a widow, remarries William Bailey in 1903 in Gateshead, and then she has William Leslie Bailey in 1904. So going back to the original family and the Elizabeth that raised our Elizabeth, Elizabeth Scott, she died in 1890.
13th? The 30th of May 1890 at 10 Greensfield Terrace. So right in the fucking middle of the two houses.
Not on the other side of the road.
No, it's not. 9, 10, 11. So you got Elizabeth Douglas,
So that's her nana, yeah?
73.
Yeah.
Good age back then to die, like 19.
The widow of Matthew Douglas, a goods guard. Pneumonia killed her.
Yeah. So we know how the story ended with this Elizabeth, but let's go right back to the beginning to find out how she ended up here at Greensfield Terrace. And she comes from Hexham.
So Matthew Douglas, male, christening date the 20th of November 1825.
The christening place was Newborough? Yeah, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Northumberland, England, which is where we are now.
Yes.
Dad was William Douglas.
And the mother was Anne Ridley.
Yep. So they were inside that door, and this is where it all began.
William Douglas, born 1783.
Yeah. So he married Anne Ridley.
Well, that's where I'm not 100% certain.
Right. And that seems to pass down, doesn't it? That they've used her surname as a first name, haven't they?
Yeah, but that Anne Ridley might be Anne something completely different.
So where does Ridley come from?
I don't know. You see other people called Ridley in the area.
Yeah.
We've got in Allawash Village,
Just down there.
down that way. We have Matthew Robson, who's 40, and he was a farmer.
Then you've got John Herdman, he's 20, an agricultural labourer.
And Matthew Douglas,
Our Matthew Douglas,
who was an agricultural labourer as well.
at 15. You've got Edward Wilkinson, he's 15, an agricultural labourer.
We've got Elizabeth Scott, who is 20, FS.
Female servant. That's how they met. She's
the farm.
Elizabeth is the servant in the household.
So I was right.
Yeah. And on December the 18th, 1841, Matthew Douglas, who was 20, married Elizabeth Scott, who was 20. Matthew's a bachelor and Elizabeth's a spinster, and they got married in the parish of Warden, which is just down the road. Matthew's job is a husbandsman, so they both met working in the same house for the farmer.
Matthew Douglas, head. Is that 41? And he's a railway porter.
We were husbandman, we were farming, and now he's become
A railway porter.
a railway part of that.
demand, isn't
And then read this.
So the 1840s were the biggest decade for railway growth. Yeah, absolutely. I know this from my own time. I served on the rails.
Imagine if you're a farmer in that little church up there, and then this all gets built. You're going to be like, I want to be a part of it. I want to be, yeah.
In 1840, when the decade began, railway lines in Britain were few and scattered, but within 10 years, a virtually complete network had been laid down, and the vast majority of towns and villages had a railway connection.
Elizabeth Douglas, and she was a wife.
Then you got William Douglas, the son.
Our William.
He's 1. Oh no, must be 9 or something there because he's a scholar.
And then we've got on to Martha. So Martha is a daughter and she is 6. Martha Shipley, who was his wife. She was from Haydenbridge, Northumberland.
In
But
Hexham.
she didn't have a job there.
Hexham.
She married a cousin. So Elizabeth Douglas's first marriage to her childhood sweetheart Matthew William Shipley was in fact her cousin, because Matthew was Martha Douglas's son. So they grew up next door to each other, but they were also related to each other. So I wonder what the family thought about that, but back then it was quite common. So Greensfield Terrace holds a lot of secrets. What are you doing
All these modern houses.
There's your railway line there. So it's on the next one. Railway in. Would you look at that?
I did that. Oh.
Well, you would have. I don't know. There you go. There you go.
Just having a look in the derelict railway pub, which would have been the station master's house.
So you got Matthew Douglas, the head. He's 39. And he's a railway clerk.
He's gone up from railway porter to railway clerk.
Oh, that's why he gets a station house.
Yeah.
Station house.
Then we've got his wife Elizabeth Douglas, and she's 41 at the moment.
Then you got William Douglas, the son.
Our William.
He's 18. And guess what he is? A railway porter.
So he's got dad's job.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have my job. I'll get the promotion.
Yeah.
we've got Martha, or Martha Douglas, obviously the daughter, and she is 16 at this point.
House Lou at home.
House serve at home.
So she's just basically...
Oh,
helping
She's
them
just
out.
cleaning the house, yeah.
Cleaning the house for her. You got Robert Douglas, the son. He's 14.
Coal miner. He's
Yeah.
a coal
Coal
miner.
miner.
Complete difference, isn't
Yeah, but
it?
he'll be getting the coal for the rails, so it's still interlinked.
Yeah.
Then we've got Ridley. Oh, yeah, we've
Yeah,
done
yeah.
Ridley, and he's 12 at the moment. And he's also a coal
He's also
miner.
a coal miner.
At 12,
Down
yeah.
the-
Where's
coal
the coal
mines.
yard?
Dangerous job, that like.
Then you've got Peter Douglas, the son. He's 10 and he's a scholar.
We've got Anne Douglas, and she's also a scholar. And she's 8.
I'm sure her dad John Wilkinson.
Yeah, John Lambert Wilkinson. Now he disappears as well. Well,
I-
that's-
And his second wife was Annie Douglas. They must have all just knew each other.
I believe Eliza, his first wife, died when they were in India, remarried, but then he vanishes again.
Did he just leave Annie? Did he just leave Annie Douglas as well?
Yeah. So Annie Douglas stays in Gateshead.
Margaret, who is a daughter. They're twins. They're twins.
Ever?
8 and
Yeah.
8. Well,
8
come
and
on,
8.
like, there's no way you can have 2 within the space of 12 months.
8 and 8.
I think they are
They're
twins.
twins.
There must be-
This will be very hard. I think they're twins. Though.
Yeah, yeah. Which would have been nice for them.
Because I've just looked at my uncle's death certificate and my dad's.
Yeah.
And they're animals, and they're all named of the person that registered.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that would be worth.
That's what. Yeah, yeah. That's what I was asking you basically if you want to buy one of them. Moira died in 2016 in Norfolk.
All right.
And
in Norfolk.
yeah,
All right.
and Kenneth and Ronald both died in 2000 in Newcastle.
Oh, well, I think one of them. Order one of them as well, because I think one of them might come up with something nearer for us.
Hello, sorry to bother you. It's a Michael Bailey live here.
Speaking, yeah.
I've been doing some family history in Middlesbrough. I'm a family history researcher. And
Right.
yeah, so she was just want me to knock on the door because she's trying to get in touch with this Newcastle side of the family, basically. Is that your grandma, Nora?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know him at all. I never ever met him, so I wouldn't
and
know.
she was her story is he's a lovely man, but she was always told by the family that he had left this family.
Yeah.
And
Well, me grandma, she come up on, like, she was on her own for years,
yeah,
and she lived with like every one of these, you know,
right.
over the years, sort
Yeah.
of thing, you know.
Did your dad not speak about him at all?
No. She died last year, or the
Right.
year before, sorry.
Yeah.
Might have been. 'Cause
Yeah.
we went to a funeral,
Is this Audrey's?
yeah, but she lived in Scotland.
Right. Maybe
She
that's
was-
why I couldn't find the death.
Yeah, she was in Scotland,
Mm-hmm.
but then she come down and was buried. Well, her ashes are with Ronnie. So all of them are dead now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. 2000, and my dad died 6 months after him. So,
Right. He ran the farm, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a farmer.
And
yeah.
I didn't want to knock on the farm, to be fair. I didn't
No,
know where-
well, they're not there now.
Right,
It's like
that's-
totally different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ronnie was buried, and her ashes are now just on top. Well, Ronnie was buried to his first on top of his first wife.
Right.
So his wife was in there.
And then
He's on top.
Yeah.
He remarried.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's years ago. Kathy's still alive.
Yeah.
As you know.
And Moira's down Norfolk way, isn't she?
Yeah, she was down sort of
So would that be in that far?
Nottingham way.
Are you just the only child? Or is
No,
there a few
I've
of
got two sisters.
you? Two sisters.
Yeah, they're both still. Oh, one's died. One died last year.
Yeah.
She's
So Elizabeth's relation to you is like she's like an auntie, really, isn't she?
right.
That
Well, it would have been
half auntie.
great. I don't know.
Yeah, half auntie. I think
Yeah.
she dad's half sister. So
Yeah,
she's
sort of
half auntie.
Aye, probably.
Yeah, but anyway, that was it. He died. They basically got to get. They ran a pub. Ollie's ran a pub. Nora and
Yes, they ran the Queen Vic on the
yeah,
high street. Yeah.
Gosford it is.
Yeah.
And then I think this woman came in the bar. Is what the story is, and he ran off with her.
Right. Okay.
That's the story, and left Nora to raise these, and she
Yeah.
feels guilty, like knowing she knew it like later in life, so she was like, "That's not the dad that I knew," sort of thing, and stuff like that. So her mum's passed away now as well, and we figured that these were probably all.
It's funny that my sister's middle name's Leslie, and so I don't know what was it.
Did she have her own place?
No. Well, she lived in Gosforth.
Yeah.
In well, we knew in lovely house in Gosforth. I don't know what happened. I was just talking to my sister not long ago. Whatever happened to that house that she lived at?
Yeah.
Was she just renting it, or was she?
Yeah.
Did she own it? Because it would have been worth a few quid. I don't know how she was funny because she sort of like squatted at everybody's house.
So she just for the holiday.
Yeah, she like,
Yeah.
and I think she just thought it was her right to. She was
Right.
a funny woman, like, to be fair.